guys, welcome to my little corner of creativity. In today's video I'm going to show you how to get from this, yeah, not very appealing, isn't it, to this. So let's get on to it. Okay, so first off I put my sketch in Photoshop and I put it on a separate layer so I can lower the transparency and then make the line art on top of it. So, I mean, I said line art, but it's not really a line art. It's a very loose sketch because I don't need something very detailed since I'm only, painting. I don't need the line art in its final form, so that's why it looks pretty awful. Also, I'm trying to correct some mistakes that I made on the sketch that I did in my sketchbook. Here I am using Liquify so I can, correct some stuff because some parts of his face were looking kind of weird. And those black shapes you saw on the screen right now, they were a way for me to measure. I was measuring the distance between his head and the end of the shoulder and making sure that the other side is the same size, using those black squares. Okay, so the sketch is done and now I'm making a different layer in which I add the colors. I'm starting off with the skin and then the hair. I make a separate layer for the hair and then I add the colors of his clothes. And I finally start shading. Well, this part is a bit messy at first because I'm just using loose shadows to block the parts which have light and the parts that have darker colors, and I'm using a very soft brush first. Here I'm starting to work on his eyes, but still I'm at that stage where I'm putting everything without thinking about it too much, putting the colors there, just trying it out. I'm loosely defining his lips and slowly build colors. Here I decided to add a bit more contrast to his eyes. And it kind of looks like he is wearing makeup for now. It looks very weird. It's also very funny how drawings look so bad in first stages. Like it almost makes you want to give up, because you see that ugly thing staring at you and you're like, okay, I'm not sure I can do this right. I'm not sure I can make this look good. Okay, adding some lashes, loosely, messily. I'm very messy when I'm drawing and working a bit chaotic, as you see. I still have to work on that. Here I started using a soft brush. I think it was the airbrush, and I used that brush to merge the colors, to blend them a bit, because I didn't like the fact that the strokes were so obvious and I had to do something to kind of make it look more realistic and soft. I usually don't use soft brushes, and maybe looking at this drawing now you can see why I don't do that, but I said that okay, let me try something new, something I don't usually do, because I wanted to make his skin look soft and glowy, and I thought that using an airbrush would be a good idea, but it wasn't. It made his face look so smudged and having no texture at all, and it kind of made the colors disappear, like the different shades of the colors, they were gone. Like I can see only like 4 colors on his face right now. I don't know, they just disappeared under that thin soft layer of color that I added with the soft brush. And this is the point where I was like, this is going downhill. This drawing, I don't know if I can save it. So I started working on the eyes. I was like, okay, time to do something about this. So I started working on the eyes. I added some dark shadows at first, some light ones, and the pupil in the center, and then I added those highlights, those zigzag shapes that I then smudged with a smudge tool, and added some really high contrast, bold highlights to make his eyes look wet, if that makes sense. So yeah, now his eyes look a bit more decent, and this is the point where I decided to get back to my textured brush. I realized that the soft airbrush, it doesn't work for me, so I started using my usual brush. It's my trusty brush. I use it for most of my drawings, and it has a bit of texture, or rather it makes it easy to add texture. So from here on, the drawing will start looking better. Texture is a bit more visible now. It doesn't look like I smudged the colors, and it has that painterly feel, and also I managed to preserve a bit of the softness. Ah, the ears. I hate drawing ears. I'm not sure what I hate more. Drawing and painting ears or hands, or no, feet. Yeah, I know. I hate feet more than ears and hands, hands down. Oh, freckles, yes. So I wanted to add freckles, and I used some of the default Photoshop brush. I think it was a watercolor brush that had a very interesting texture. It had many dots. So I used that to create freckles, and after adding them I used Gaussian blur. And as you can see, it didn't work out so well. It doesn't really look like he has freckles. But what it did is that it gave a really nice texture to the skin, and I really liked the effect. On a separate layer, I also added some red around his eyes because I wanted to make his eye bags pop. Like, that's one of his defining features, his eye bags. And I wanted to make sure that they are visible and they strike you, so I used red around his eyes. Now I'm working on the hair. I'm using some hair brushes. I've been using them for years. I'll leave you a link in the description to these brushes. They are very good in my opinion. I've been using them a lot, and they help me a lot to create this effect of very soft hair that you see. What I'm doing here, I'm using an eraser with the same brush, the same hair brush, and kind of erase the edges of the hair. That's a nice trick to make the hair look softer. So erase the edges with an eraser set on a hairbrush or a soft brush, and set the opacity to somewhere around 30 or 20%, and use that to erase the edges softly. That will give a really nice effect and make the hair look soft. Okay, so the hair and face is basically done. I'm moving on to the clothes. For me, clothes are a bit of a mystery. I'm not very good at painting them. I used to be. I used to draw a lot of bodies. So I wasn't drawing naked bodies, obviously, so making lots of full body drawings forced me actually to draw a lot of clothes in the past. But in recent years I moved towards portraits, and because of that I kind of lost my touch with drawing and painting clothes. But I had a lot of patience with his suit, more than I usually have when it comes to clothes, and I think it came out decently. Not the best, but well. So yeah, what I'm doing is deciding where the light hits and where it doesn't. I'm trying to add tiny details like the seams on his lapels. I think I'm using the correct words, I hope. And now I'm blocking the colors on his shirt, using the same principle, making little folds, and this time I'm using lighter colors, so being a white shirt, the contrast is not so big. I'm just softly shading, using very soft and neutral colors, nothing too bold. But what I'm paying attention to is the fact that white color in general, absorbs the colors around it. So the predominant color around his white shirt being his purple suit, I'm trying to use shades that have a purple tint in order to make the drawing look consistent. And here I'm coloring his little umbrella pin. I thought that it would be a very nice touch. I'm not good at painting gold, but well, I tried, and I really wanted to add this detail. At first I wanted to draw an umbrella on his head. Oh, no, not on his head. Holding an umbrella above his head, that's what I wanted to say. But the composition didn't look too well, so I decided against it, and since I really wanted to have this umbrella element, I decided to put a little pin on his suit. Here I'm working on the background. Well, it's not the most original and wow background ever, but I like the visual effect, the X behind his head. So yeah, this is pretty much it. This is how you turn a really ugly, awful sketch that you messily draw in your sketchbook into a painting that you can actually feel proud to show to the world. So yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy my content. If you do, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and also hit the bell. And yeah, that's all. Don't forget to stay creative. Bye!